Hello everyone, today's video is a tutorial on my gorgeous best friend Amy. A lot of you wanted me to do someone else's makeup on camera, so that's exactly what I'm doing today. We decided to go for this half cut crease pink purple toned eye. To begin with, I'm priming Amy's face with two Flomar primers. So the first one I'm using is the double radiance primer, which is going to give her a nice glow to begin with. And then on the T-zone I've put the illuminating primer, which actually dries down quite matte, which is why I used it on the T-zone. To prime the lids, I'm using the Essence eyeshadow primer, and I'm going to set that with the Fuschia highlighting powder. I'm just basically going to set it so that the tackiness is removed and it gives me a smooth canvas to blend my eyeshadows onto. Next thing I'm going to do is Amy's eyebrows, so I'm just brushing through them with a spoolie, and I mixed two eyebrow gels to get the perfect shade. I will list the product names and shades of everything I use in the video today down below in the info bar if you don't catch them throughout the video. So I just began by drawing the bottom part of her brow. I feathered some product through the centre of her brow and then used whatever was left on the brush to carve out the top. I also cleaned up the brows using the Catrice camouflage concealer because we were laughing most of the way through doing her eyebrows, so I made a few mistakes. I also feathered some MAC shadow through the beginning of her brow to give a nice fade. Now in colour correcting with the LA Pro concealer in the shade yellow, I just colour corrected some of her blemishes so that they were easier to conceal. For foundation, I'm using the MAC Studio Fix in NC25. This is a great full coverage foundation and it's great for oily skin. Now Amy was going out that night and hadn't tanned yet, which is why I'm going a little bit darker with her foundation. And I bring it a small bit down her neck, as you'll see. But we wanted to match her for the night out, so I went ahead and went a little bit darker. So I buffed it in with F21, and then I'm picking up any excess product with a damp sponge. So now I'm going to begin the eyes. I did one off camera so that you can see what I'm working towards. The first eyeshadow I'm taking is Inglot 392. This is one of my favourite transition colours to use when I'm doing pink purple eyes. It's just the perfect shade to begin with. I buffed that in and above the crease towards her brow, and then I went in with 382, which is a nice kind of bright pink. This really warms up the crease and gives it a pop of colour, and I'm placing this in a similar area, just blending it in and above the crease. I used the Colourpop 143 eyeshadow more directly in the crease this time. You can see I'm using a smaller brush, and I just blended that from outer corner to inner corner and also a bit on the outer edge of the eye. Next shadow I'm using is Wine and Dine from the Violet Voss palette, and this is going in the exact same place as the Colourpop shadow. Then I kind of mixed MAC Sketch and Cherry Cola and from Makeup Geek, and I just kind of blended this on the outer corner of the eye and also into the crease. So I don't mind bringing the eyeshadows too far into the crease because I am going to cut the crease afterwards. I also used a small bit of this pink shade from the Urban Decay Electric palette just to brighten up the crease area. To carve out the crease, I'm using the Essence Camouflage Concealer. So I kind of start carving it and then I get her to open her eyes and see where the concealer transfers, and then I kind of know where to cut the crease. I actually did slightly cut it too high compared to the other eye this time round. That's the trouble of trying to match them up once you get the first one right. So I actually just blended the colours back into the crease and then recarved the lid and crease area, so you can see me doing that right here now. And then I always pat down the concealer just to pick up any excess product on my finger because I don't want the concealer to mix in with the pigment that I'm using right now. So this is Glam Co Lilac Vibes. This is one of their jewel dusts. It's a white pearlescent pigment, but it has lilac purple vibes through it. It's actually gorgeous. The next shadow I'm using is 308 from Inglot, and I'm using this to darken up the outer third and crease area of Amy's eye. And I also used a bit of MAC Sketch here just to carve above where I cut the crease, just so it looks a bit sharper. And then I just blended everything. Now I'm using Inglot's gel liner in 77 to draw a line across Amy's top lash line. So lately I've been gone off wings, so we just did a line across the lid and thickened it at the outer edge. I'm beginning to darken up the outer edge of the eye with that 308 eyeshadow from Inglot, but I am going to go in with some of that gel liner and just gently pat it on the outer corner of the eye where I want it to be the darkest, and then I am going to smudge it out with lIlac from Fuschia. This is the blackest eyeshadow I've ever used. It's brilliant. Then I just blended everything, and I used a small bit of this grey shadow from Fuschia. I'm not entirely sure the name, but I'll leave it below. And that gave me a nice transition of the black up to the dark purple. I highlighted the brow bone with this Catrice highlighter. It's a nice pinky toned, and then I just blended everything again. Now I'm just cleaning up underneath Amy's eye, and I'm also going to sharpen the outer edge because I like a kind of sharp, clean edge. You can keep it rounded and smoked if you want to, completely up to yourself. I'm using the Crown Brush Concealer Palette in the highlighting shade underneath Amy's eyes, and I'm also using the Catrice Camouflage Essence Camouflage Concealer, so used to saying Catrice Camouflage, underneath the eyes, and I'm bouncing that out with the sponge. I'm going to set it then with the Fuschia Megan Face Kit, and I'm using the Banana and Nude shade just to set underneath the eyes. Amy is just looking beautiful here. We had quite a few shots like this. She's not used to being in front of the camera. But we're starting on the lower lash line now, so I mixed 392 and 382 and I just smoked that underneath the lower lash line. I then took some of Wine and Dine from Violet Voss and I just smudged this closer to the lower lash line. I also took some of MAC Sketch on a really small brush, and this is actually 308 from Inglot I'm using, sorry. I smudged that to the lower lash line, and then I put some Inglot gel liner in 77 on her waterline. I also put a tiny bit just below her lashes because I want it to be really intense there, so I put a tiny bit, and then I used the Leah shadow from Fuschia to smudge that out, and that just gives you a really intense black kind of smoke. I feel like sometimes the eyeshadow isn't enough by itself. For lashes we used Rebelluna Kate's. Forgot to take a shot of them in the box, but that's packaging. So I used dual glue to pop them on, and then I cleaned up the liner if it needed to be thickened or just gone over if it went a bit muddy looking. To highlight the centre of her face, I'm actually using a foundation stick from Penny's. I love this for nights out. It's full coverage, it lasts long, and it just gives a really nice highlighted effect. I also used the tan shade around the perimeters of her face, so you can see me popping that on there, and I love this. I love like cream bronzers. It just gives a really nice effect. It kind of melts into the skin. I just love it. I love the way it looks. So I put this on the outer perimeters of her face and blended it out with the foundation brush I used, which is the Blank Canvas F21. So I just put that around her forehead, jawline, and along the cheeks there. I also took a small bit of a contour shade from the Crown Brush palette, and I put that in the hollows of Amy's cheeks, and I'm also contouring the far sides of her nose and underneath it. I'm using this little brush from Penny's, not the biggest fan of these, but I like this one for contouring the nose. It just fits perfectly. I also cleaned up the highlighting around the nose and just bounced all that out with a sponge. Now I am setting the highlighted areas with that same Fuschia face kit, and I'm using the same banana shades. To set the rest of the face, I'm using the MAC Studio Fix powder in NC25, and I'm using a Nemac Buki brush to press this into the skin. This is a great powder. It adds extra coverage, it gets rid of oiliness, and it just keeps the makeup there all day. To bronze and contour the face, I'm using my Anastasia contour powders. So I'm using a mixture of Havana, Java and Fawn. So I've kind of mixed the two bronzy shades first and bronzed up the outer perimeters of her face. And then I've gone in with Fawn, which is the cool tone shade, and I've just contoured the hollows of her cheeks and also around the forehead and chin area. Then to really contour, I use the NYX Blush and Taupe. This is just a great shade for creating like natural shadows in the face. So I've put that underneath her lip, the sides of her nose and the hollows of her cheeks. This is a fuchsia blush I used. It's called Crushed Apricot. It's just a nice coral colour. I've then just sprayed her face with the Makeup Revolution setting spray to give me a kind of wet base to put her highlighters onto. So I'm using the Colourpop highlighter palette, and I mixed the two kind of golden shades, and I'm just putting that onto the tops of her cheekbones, the top of her lip, and also down the centre of her nose. I then just wanted a small bit more highlight on the very tops of her cheekbones, so I used the Inglot Sparkling Dust in 02. So I only put that on the cheeks, I didn't put that on the nose or the lips. Next thing I'm doing is popping on some bottom mascara. I normally actually use a tissue to do this, but I didn't have one on hand, so I got a piece of paper. So I just popped the paper underneath the lashes and just applied the bottom mascara. For lips, we're using MAC Whirl lip liner, and then we're using Gerard Cosmetics Hydro Matte Liquid Lipstick in Skinny Dip. It just worked really well with the eyes. It's a nice kind of purpley toned nude, and it just paired really, really nicely. I'm then just setting it all with the Urban Decay setting spray, and then I actually forgot to highlight our inner corner. So I've gone in with the NYX Jumbo Pencil in Milk, and I've gone in with Princess Jewel Dust from the Glam Co range. So I'm just popping that on there. And that is the look. I hope you enjoyed it. Something different to see someone else's face, see how I work on someone else. This is kind of my new style of makeup I've been doing lately. Half cut creases, intense smokes. Really, really like it. I hope you do too. As I said, I'll list all the products down below. If you did enjoy this video, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will definitely try rope in more models for these videos. And I will talk to you in my next video, guys. Thanks so much for watching. You literally just went to the bathroom.
I know, but I'm drinking a cup of tea, so now I'm gonna have to piss again.
Premium. Spotify.
No, I don't. Fuck's sake. His mother. It's just 5 o'clock. Hello?
Oh my god, no, like that's not funny. You do know that if you messed up the liner at this point, you'd be walking out like this. You're like, bye.
Okay. Fuck you, Jason. Sorry, yeah, I scratched. Okay, I will. Mental case. I look like I have one big eye and one small eye.
Yeah, it looks like you should be like the Mad Hatter or something. Why is the raven like a writing desk?
What?
That's what the Mad Hatter always says. Why is the raven like a writing desk?
Why does the raven like a writing desk?
No! Why is a raven like a writing desk?
Stop, I'm deaf.
You see the bottom of my ass cheeks when I'm walking around.
I wasn't even looking. I seen them when you were going up the hall earlier on though. I was like, oh, hello.
There's like eyeliner on your nose.
On the nose. I didn't. No, can turn?
Yeah.
Where do I look?
Okay, you don't have to talk, right? Right.
You just give me directions.
Yeah, okay.